Yeah, mine does that too. All right, so welcome back, everybody. This is Roman and Donald with the VRF Tech Talk podcast, your favorite podcast talking about all things VRV and VRF. I know that we don't do this very often. We're trying to do this more than just once a month, but you know how life is. Life is busy, and we are juggling multiple jobs and careers. And so this is something that we do kind of just out of a fun hobby to, share information. And we talk to a lot of people throughout the month and weeks, year, get some great stories, hear some struggles, hear some pain points, and try to shed some light on things that we do in the industry to make your life a little bit easier. So if you are tuning in for the first time, welcome. And we are here to talk about all things VRV, VRF. And one of the big things that I wanted to bring up today is the spare parts bank. So, when we started out doing VRV, VRF service many, many moons ago, it was one of those things where you knew somebody at the supply house or at the counter who knew the VRV equipment, or you had maybe access to one of the guys at the factory who knew all the parts and pieces and could look stuff up for you at the drop of a hat, which is, a little bit more difficult nowadays. But with that, it was one of those things where you would say, I need this part, right? And you had that guy who would go and he would get you the parts like a wizard. And every time it came in, it was always the right thing. Or he would say, no, you don't want that. You want this. And unfortunately, not everybody has that. And so that's created kind of a pain point, if you will, where if you're doing this for the first time or you have a client that's asked you to look at these units and you know that something is bad, right? You've either gone through troubleshooting guides, the service manual, or maybe you've gone to the Tech Talk VRF Tech Talk Facebook page and you found a post that says, yeah, that is bad. A lot of guys talk about it. It's a common failure point. You want to make sure that you're getting the right parts, and just saying, hey, I need an inverter board on this model unit. Well, what if it has 2 inverter boards? What if it has 3 inverter boards? What if there's 4 different kinds that do different things? There's the outdoor fan motor inverter board. There's the actual compressor itself. Lord forbid it has more than one compressor, and they're different size compressors, right? All of these things matter. And so how do you avoid ordering the wrong parts or even receiving the wrong parts? And the way we would do that is we put the power back in your own hands. And with Daikin equipment is one we're talking about specifically today, is the spare parts database or spare parts bank, as most of you guys call it. Now, this is a Japanese website that's actually accessible for anybody to have. And so this is what those guys at the distributor or the reps counter are using to find the parts out there in the wild. So, Donald, you want to talk a little bit about your experience with the parts database? It's changed looks actually recently. It looks a little bit different now.
Yeah, so I think over the past probably like year and a half or so, they've been really updating it to now include pictures and make it a little bit more seamless. The downside is we still don't have like the Goodman stuff transferred into that portal, so the FXTQ still has to go through the Goodman parts database. But I mean, that's one unit out of the 40 or so or 50 or so that we can work on still. The parts database as it is really a really valuable tool. Not only does it tell you the parts, but there's also wiring diagrams for each unit on that specific piece of equipment right there built in. So in a pinch, if you don't have the service manual, but you can get on Tech Hub on your phone and you can see that the wiring diagram is there. I mean it's kind of a roundabout way to get to a wiring diagram. If you're already on Tech Hub, you can get the service manual. But having
So
that,
let's stop right there real quick and say something about the Tech Hub. So Tech Hub, how long has it been around for now? Would you say, Donald? 2 years?
No, it's longer than that.
Year and a half?
It started back 2020. It was like 2020 or 21 was it first introduced, and
Yeah.
it's been slowly getting better and better as time has gone on.
Yeah. So Tech Hub is one of those things where it is a newer piece of technology. It has error codes, it has service manuals, it has videos, it has all the things, refrigerant calculation charges, measurements, and all that good stuff like that, conversion charts. It's a great resource. However, like technology, that does have some small caveats. And so if you are using the Daikin Tech Hub app, which we recommend that you do because it's just another tool in your tool belt, there is this thing where when they do apply updates to the app, you have to manually go in and look at them in order for it to update manually. It doesn't do it automatically. Sometimes it does. It's a little quirky. Sometimes you have to uninstall the app, reinstall the app. But it's one of those things where if you haven't updated it recently, don't think that it is automatic. And yes, you do have to update it 100% of the way to get access to the latest model numbers, latest error codes. Some things just kind of fall out of the app and you're like, well, that's not in my app version. And it's like, no, it's there. You just haven't gone to the update screen and let it sit for a good, forever. It's like 15, 20 minutes to download
overnight.
all the information. Yeah, overnight. It's great advice. So again, if this is going out to those technicians who have had the Tech Hub app for a year, 2 years, they've even gone in it recently, I highly recommend you go to the update section and let it load and go back through the strong Wi-Fi signal connection maybe overnight and just let it sit there. It may look like it's sitting there just spinning its wheels constantly, but it is actually updating. And to get the full strength of that app on your phone when you're in the field, when you don't have that signal, when you're in a basement, when you're in an attic, when you're in a concrete building, you're going to want to not wait until you need it and not have it, then just do the due diligence now, as this being your reminder to go and refresh your app and download all the latest features and information, because it's a great app, right? It's gotten a lot better since when it first started and had a lot of problems, but yeah. Okay, back to the spare parts bank.
Yeah, I was trying to pull up Tech Hub from my phone to screen share it, but it's not working. So we'll put out a video or something later on that. But
I can share my screen on the parts bank. We'd rather do that.
yeah, just go to the full one. Just multiple ways to get there. Just most people aren't going to have a laptop, or a lot of people don't have their laptop easily handled if they're in the field trying to figure out what part they need. But it'll
Yeah.
be the same process, just a different means of getting there.
Yeah. So again, if you guys haven't gone to DaikinAC.com in a while, it's dead. So sorry to bring you bearer of bad news, but that website has been officially killed. It's now just DaikinComfort.com and /pro. So if you go to DaikinAC.com, it's going to forward you to this website. It's going to look like this. So where do I go from here? So maybe you've never heard of the spare parts bank, and now you have, and you're like, well, now I need access to it. Well, this is where you go to get access. You would go here. You would go to the Resource Center tab. You go down to parts and supply on the right-hand side and click that. And when you do that, it's going to take you to the Daikin Spare Parts Bank. You can either log in or you can go down here and you can type in on the right-hand side all your information, right? I've read below, and then submit for access to the parts database. You'll get an email within 24 to 48 hours approving you with your temporary password and your login. And for me, I already have it. So I'm going to go and I'm going to click on this and go and log in.
So one thing I could say, just to make it easier for yourself, if you got a group of guys in a service department that are all going to be using this, rather than have, I mean, I guess you can have individual accounts, but just create one for your master user, right? And then everybody can share the same one, so that it's easier for somebody in the office to track who has the spare parts bank, rather than, oh, this person needs help with this password and they forgot that password and blah, 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 right? Like, just make it easier for yourself. I mean, here at work, my day job is we have one login that everybody kind of just shares across, 10 people, 20 people.
Yeah, no, it's good. Not everybody needs access to it, but at least if you start it for one person or your company, then from there you can just distribute that login and that password. That password will kick it back to where you have to change it probably once a month. I've already changed my password as of this morning. But here's the thing. What is this website for? Well, this website's for, I have my model number of my equipment here. So let's type in REMQ. Let's go old school. PBTJ. All right. So if I go here and I type in my model number here at the top, it's going to pull up, hey, here's the model number. Well, what if I don't have the last four of my model? Can I just type in REMQ 120? And you actually can. And so what it's going to do is it's going to list you the different flavors that it comes in for different voltages. And now for mine, I said PBTJ, but here's other styles that the equipment comes in. There's 120, PBTJ, 120, PBYD, PTJU, PYDN. Maybe you don't have the last four digits because your tech didn't put the letters down. Well, you could come in here and suffice. Well, hey, let's do this one right here, okay? So we go to PBTJ. I hit view. Now, here's the great thing about the parts database. It literally shows you everything in this piece of equipment. I mean, we're talking down to the actual packet and what comes in the unit for the first time on the left-hand side. Now, I've never tried to actually purchase those pieces before, but they give you a part number for it. And so here it is, the exploded view of the unit in parts and pieces. Now, you notice there's three different categories that we can sift through. There's the parts, right, which is all your control boards, electrical devices. Then there's your refrigeration circuit, which has all of your refrigerant piping and guidelines. And if I do click on these letters and numbers, it'll take me to the list. This is this compressor. This is that compressor. This is this solenoid valve, right? And then the last one is going to be your actual wiring diagram that your technician is seeing out in the field on the piece of equipment itself that you're working on. Now, this doesn't have any clickable parts on it, but sometimes it's nice when you're helping assist someone troubleshoot something to see this breakdown in itself. Remember, when you can take a picture of this or a screenshot, which right here on the top left-hand side, you can actually download a PDF of this. So if you wanted to download it really quick off the parts database, send this to your field technician and have him circle what parts he's condemning in the field, then you in the office can actually pull off the information and make sure you're getting the right parts. The disconnection that happens in the field is that. Yeah.
Yeah. Go back to the main page. I think.
Yep.
Just a tip, right? So for your service companies out there, if you're taking on a service ticket and you know you're going to have REMQs, 96s, 120s, 72s, click on that Excel file. Download the Excel file. All right. When you download that Excel file and open that, that's going to give you all of the parts names, all of the part numbers, the tag that it is on that picture, so that when you go to quote any service, you don't have to always go back to that spare parts bank to get that. You already have that, right? You could do the same thing with that PDF and download the picture. But I mean, this document is great, especially for fan coils, right? So all of the fan coils have common tonnages between a few of them, and I'll bring open a file I created a long time ago that kept me in track, just for all the common parts across what machine has what and what's common to what tonnages. And most of the time I don't even go on there until I need to place the order.
Yeah. But to your point, if I can pull every piece and part off of this, sort and filter to what I'm looking for, and then just say, hey, maybe I have a large client with their building and they're looking for spare parts to keep on hand for emergencies. Exactly. This list could be easily generated from what we just exported here that you can see on my screen. So yeah.
Well, specifically, I mean, just when you have a job site that has a ton of different common units, there's a good chance that a lot of the units are the same, right? Specifically on VRV4, right? We know we have 144 and 168 are the same, 96 and 120 are the same. 72 is kind of that oddball where it's the only one that's its own unit, but the rest of the units are all common, right? So parts are common across the board here. I'm going to share this little spreadsheet that I've made that kind of helps me keep track of what is what. Let me make it look pretty.
Well, and that's the beauty of this, right? So don't go and reinvent the wheel. You don't need to go and memorize what parts go in what units. You don't need to memorize, what part number each inverter board is for each REMQ model. This stuff already exists somewhere. And so what we're trying to show you is how to make your job a little bit easier. And that is referencing the spare parts bank and also building out maybe your own custom spreadsheets if you need to. If you're doing enough equipment and you're replacing enough parts, this is something that someone who knows nothing about these products can easily access and then triple check. Because there's nothing worse than quoting a repair, rolling a technician to the job site, especially 2 hours away, showing up to find out you have the wrong parts in hand because nobody knew what the part numbers actually are. They only come from one person. And, Steve wasn't at the counter that day. So there's no telling what we got.
And even like one of the things, and this might upset the people taking the order at Daikin, but like, even if these part numbers have a substitution, right, you can still order this part number and then the factory is going to automatically sub it to the correct part. So like, this was just something that I did to help organize when we needed a specific compressor. Then I could say, okay, well, do we have anything on our shelf that is the same for the REYQ TAYDU? Let me check. Compressors, where are they at? There's our compressors right there. Okay, so I could technically use a compressor from a 96 in the 120. It's the same compressor. Same with the 144, 168. It's the same compressor. But check out this, right? So like the PCBs, right? They're the same PCBs across the board. Fan drivers, the same. The inverters get different, but a lot of the boards are identical to the entire product line. So like main PCBs, noise filters, main inverters, right? Like it's crazy.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of VRF, right? A lot of these units have the same parts and the same components. I mean, the A1P board is exactly the same in a lot of units because you have to set the dip switches for tonnages, right? It's a little different software when you switch between versions themselves, but outside of that, for the most part, it's
Right.
the fan drivers are the same, the inverters are the same, the compressors are the same, and so we're talking about standardizing parts as a whole to minimize downtime. VRF has that, right? That's what this is. It's not just, well, I need an exact board for that model. Now there's, 27 different flavors of the inverter board. Well, no, if you switch series of equipment, then yeah, the inverters get a little bit different. But a lot of that programming comes down to telling the unit what tonnage you have. And then remember, they're the same compressors. It just has that upper and that lower limitations on the compressor speeds. And the same with the fan speeds. It's the upper and lower limits on the fan speeds. I'd say lowers are the same, but it's the uppers for both the compressor and the fan motor that are different. So but yeah,
Yeah.
so there's that. If you're trying to save yourself time, trying to save yourself frustration and headache, that is probably the best way to do that, is to verify that your team has the tools needed to succeed. And those tools are accessing the spare parts bank and ensuring that if they're the ones condemning boards, them looking directly at the board in the unit, right? The one on the left, right? There's only one in this unit. So let's go to a unit that actually has one part, right? Not one part, but multiple boards, right? That's what we're looking for here. So let's go to
the VRV trash series. I mean T series.
144 TATJU.
Oh,
sorry. Doesn't exist. They got rid of it.
You forgot. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that model doesn't exist. That's not a model. It's not RAY, it's RAYQ. All right, so if we go here and we look at this, you're going to see here, okay, I've got 2 noise filter boards, right? There we go. Are they different part numbers? Let's see. You've got your E7 and your E8, and they are different part numbers because they do different things. And you'll notice here that on some of these boards, the parts and pieces, some of them are, those flag terminals, and the other one are screws.
Yep.
Yeah, and that'll get you guys out in the field. So it's just because they look the same, like these inverters look the same, they have 2 different part numbers. You're like, well, they're just different part numbers because they want to take my money. No, the different part numbers is that the connections from the compressor to the board are a different style. You'll notice here on this particular series of equipment that the right-hand side inverter, which is the master inverter, that one actually has screw terminals, and the one on the left is spade connections. And so, you'll get that very easily mixed up out in the field. That although they may be sized the same to do the same thing with the same compressor, they are slightly different. And so, it's just something that's easily mixed up. And now, thankfully, when we went to the VRV4 series, it looks like this. And then they kind of put the wiring harnesses here, so you could order wiring harnesses. I don't know if they actually have them in stock. Let me see.
It's tough.
They do. Look at that.
Some of them are.
Look at that. So here's the beauty of it too, right? Okay, I have no idea. Do they actually have that? Is that my part? Well, I'll click on it, and then I'll click on details down here in the bottom left. And what do details do? It tells me a couple things. Do they have any in stock at the factory in Houston? They say 0. Well, that's not good. And then a little step further, will they show you a picture of the actual part? And sometimes they will. And so I'll look at this and I'll go, yes, that's exactly the part that I accidentally cut off with my needle nose pliers, cutting a zip tie. So, and they have 18 of them right now. So I think I'm pretty good, right? I could order 1 or 2 because, I'm just not going to get any better at cutting zip ties. And I was in here the other day looking at compressors, and they actually have pictures of the compressors now, which is super nice. It's like shopping in a Sears catalog. I guess they don't have it for this series.
Pictures are still spotty on a lot of stuff, but like most of the major components are going to have pictures. Like compressors, none of them have pictures, but most boards will have pictures, so that you at least know, like, you can compare from left to right. Like, where it's really handy is on fan coils, like indoor units, to make sure that it looks identical.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's some of it's kind of spotty on compressors.
Well, and so compressors, that's a whole nother topic in itself. Goodness. Okay, so compressors as a whole. Now, Donald had his list of part numbers, but based on whether you buy it from Daikin Comfort or whether you buy it from Daikin Applied, remember Daikin Applied has their own part numbers for the same exact compressors. So Daikin Applied is sourcing it from Daikin Comfort. So although maybe your rep is Daikin Applied, or maybe that's where you normally source your parts, you have to remember that the part number they have is not the one that's listed on this website. Now, they can find this part number in their database, but remember what they're going to spit out is probably starting with a 9 number, and they have their own Daikin Applied sticker on it as a part number. We had this come across our plate this week, actually, where someone ordered a compressor and they're like, this part number is not right. And it's like, no, pull the compressor out. Well, so at the very bare bones, you unbox everything for what you have, and you compare what? You compare the drawing number on the parts database to the model number of your compressor. This is the model number of your compressor, right? In this unit, part number 7009494, which is one of the most common inverter compressors in VRV4, it is a JT1GC VD WYR @SB. And you'll say, wait a minute, mine's an @T or an @B or an @A. And you got to remember that the @ symbol is a revision number. So if it is a different letter after the @ symbol, then your compressor is just a newer version of that compressor as a whole. It's not the wrong compressor. As long as the letters and the numbers at the front of this match up with your compressor, then you have the right compressor. It's just a different version number at the end. And you'll see that too with some of these where you go and you look at the master compressor here and you'll notice, well, okay, they have a sub number. So if I go back to this is the 460 version. And on these, and that's the most common one, right? They're like, oh, I don't know. Will this compressor work? Will that compressor work? I don't know. It says it won't. It says it will. Yeah, I've got no idea what I'm doing here. This is getting really confusing. They've got 6 compressors here. And so here's one, right? Here's one where they've subbed the parts. The original part number was this, a JT100GC Okay. And then we jump over here and the letters didn't change. It's only the @ symbol. Now they have an @T instead of an @SB. So although it is a new substituted part number and there's a new letter at the end, it's still the same exact compressor built the same way with a few small revision changes internally, which they don't release that stuff. But the good thing is there are 2,070 of these compressors at the factory right now. That's probably the most I've ever seen stock there before. Goodness. They're getting ready for winter. Is that what it is, Donald?
Ooh, the 8456.
So again, this is how you verify not only the parts that you have, maybe you have one of those clients like we do, and it happens where they like to buy their own parts direct and they want to provide them to you. Well, remember, time is money, and sometimes we don't want to just go out there and start tossing in parts because somebody got them. You got to verify and have your team verify on site that the part numbers that you have that they've given you match what's actually there, match what's actually supposed to be there. Is this the right voltage? Is this the right board? Am I going to get a capacity connection error? So Donald, I got a question for you. What happens when you put a 208 volt compressor, inverter compressor in a unit with a 460 volt compressor is supposed to be?
It won't work. You get PJ.
It won't work. Yes. So what happens when you put a 208 standard compressor in a VRV3 where it's supposed to be a 460 volt compressor?
It'll work for a second.
It'll run for 30 minutes, and then guess what you get? You get a bunch of L8s, right? Yeah. And so remember, this crap happens, guys. We get it. Like I've done it myself. We do it on our team. Mistakes happen, especially when you're not the guy ordering the parts.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the guy who spent 2 days changing compressors when you never verified the model number on the compressor, even though it was in a box that said it had the right part numbers. You never verified the voltage, the model number on the compressor, right?
The nameplate on that compressor, not only is it going to have the correct model number that you should reference to, like, this is what we ordered, this is what we should have got. It also will say, like, if you don't know what the model number is because the sticker's gone or whatever, if you're working on a 208, 230 unit and you got a 460 compressor, like, no, the inverter's not that magic. It's not going to make that work, right? You got the wrong compressor.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. We'll save you 2 hours. We'll save you 2 days of labor of putting in the wrong compressor and pulling that compressor. It does not work. Right. So if you're not checking these things when you guys are doing the repair and you're relying on your office to do that, remember, people in the office, they come and go sometimes. You're going to get new guys that come in. You have to train them and you're going to make mistakes, or they're going to send you the wrong stuff. It happens all the time. Someone unboxes it, reboxes it, sends it back to the factory, right? Trust, but verify. And this is one of those things. But also, don't be afraid if you guys get in here and you're looking for something and it doesn't exist, right? I think what was it? Was it VRV? I think it's VRVX, right? So we have the strainers here that we change a lot of when we change out compressors on the oil refrigerant separator down here, and it has a part number. It even says 100 mesh here for you. Let's see how many are in stock.
100 mesh.
12. Look at that. 1,202 at the factory. I think I'm gonna go buy 200 of those. I'm not changing a lot of compressors in case you're wondering, Donald. REYQ 144 XATJA. Let's look at this one. It's one of the earlier series X's. Okay, let's go across another problem that we've seen out in the field that is a complete pain. So this one actually has it, so this is not proving my point here. Let me think. What's another model?
What are you looking for?
Well, there's one on here that doesn't have. Maybe it's this one. It's the cap tube. This doesn't have the cap tube on it. Yeah, this is it. Okay. So it has the refrigerant filter, but you'll notice here, all it has is the solenoid for the oil return, the filter, but it will not give you the actual cap tube. It gives you the discharge pipe oil assembly. Donald, what do we do if there's no details button and there's no part number for something that we need, right? So let's say I need the cap tube assembly on this. It's not listed. VRVX.
I break out my
Sell them the new unit.
Slide rule, and I measure the cap tube, and I go buy it from a supply house.
Yes. So just because
I don't know if that's the answer you look for, but that's how I roll.
There's two answers here. Measure it yourself, right, with the appropriate tools. You have a caliper, a slide rule like Donald's talking about. Remember, we're measuring two things on capillary tubes: exterior dimensions, interior dimensions. If you can get both of those, then the last thing to measure here is the total unrolled amount of capillary tube, right? So we take the one that's there, remove it, stretch it out so it's flat, and I measure it with a tape measure. You'll see here in the parts database, and I have a video on YouTube talking just about this topic alone. It'll tell you in the part numbers on here, even though you can order these, can't order the one on the X's, that, it'll tell you the dimensions that you need in the actual listed part number. So if we go here,
Jinglish, but you got to decipher it.
You do. Yes, you do. No, so this one's proving my point too. This one's not on here either.
VRV3. Just go right for the VRV3.
Just go for the VRV3. REMQ 120 PBTJ. And so
why does a cap tube break?
So cap tubes break for all sorts of reasons, as we know. You have to remember that when we talk about VRV3 or any VRV series, you'll find that the refrigerant lines are actually cross-fed oil connections. See here, you'll see that the N connection on this one, which goes to the inverter, actually pipes back to the standards oil return on the right-hand side, and vice versa for the others. And the reason that is because the oil lines are cross-fed. And so what happens to cause the oil line to break? Well, it's connected to the suction. If you look right here, the N and the O at the top, and those are right on the suction connections of the compressor. So when the compressor bearings fail due to a lack of lubrication, liquid slugging that removes oil that causes bearings to overheat because of lack of oil that causes the shaking, you get excessive vibration, and that excessive vibration travels what? It travels up to the suction line, travels up to the discharge line.
Everywhere.
The discharge line goes straight to the oil refrigerant separator, so there's no vibration to be absorbed a lot. It goes down to the base. It's got its own mounting bracket on the back of the refrigerant oil separators to hold that thing in place. But if you look at the capillary tubes on the suction line for the oil return, there's nothing holding that thing in place. And so where does the vibration go? Well, it goes up through the cap tubes over to the oil refrigerant separator line, and it just causes them to either rub out, or it gets that perfect spot where it heat, pressure, vibration, micro cracks, and then what happens when you have 400 psig of head pressure on a line like that? It ruptures, right? It breaks, blows apart. So what causes it? Bearing failure in compressors. So if you're changing cap tubes, and this is the second time you've changed a cap tube, the third time you've changed a cap tube, just change the daggum compressor. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, I think we'd make it pretty common practice. If the cap tube is broken, first of all, go find your leak. Make sure that you have your refrigerant intact. Make sure your system's intact before you put new refrigerant in. And there's, more than a 50% chance that compressor is probably bad.
Yes. No. 100%. But if we go here to the cap tube section, and I love this on VRV3, so on VRV4, we got to go old school on that one. Look at VRV3. They're two different sizes. And then the two different sizes here, we can break this down. If we go down to the specification naming section here on this, you'll see here OD is 2.0, times ID 1.0 times 880L. So the OD is 2 millimeters, the ID is 1 millimeter, and then
Millihusit?
yeah, and the last thing is 880, right? It's the actual millimeters long. And so, when we look at something like this one's already given to us, right? I need to make sure that it's 2 OD, 1 ID, and then 880 millimeters long rolled out. And so
Right.
that's all we're doing with cap tubes. OD, ID, roll it out. And so can you carry actual cap tubes on your truck? Yeah, you actually can. I've actually got some right here made by Subco. Uh, that again, if you're waiting for someone to order these parts for you, oh, I can't get them. They can't get them. We can't get them. Come on, stop making excuses and go back to the basics and measure the actual OD, ID, and the length of it, and buy a roll of 50 feet or 10 feet or 20 feet or 6 feet of capillary tubes to make those emergency repairs. Every technician who's running service for Kalos has one of these on their truck. They actually have 2 different ones in 2 different sizes. That's because we don't ever want to put our customers in a situation where we're waiting for a month for the factory to give us a part number that doesn't exist to change a capillary tube.
Right. You fraction folk, that's 5/64ths and 3/64ths.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And so, it all comes down to making sure that you have the right sizing. And I think Subco's even got a nice little chart that breaks it all down and the different model numbers and the types and the sizes to do the conversion yourself to figure out what it should be in inches. It's like 0.40 and stuff like that. So, you know, Google is your friend when it comes to math and conversions of stuff like this, but just understand that you don't have to rely on the factory to be the end all be all to get you the information. Sometimes it's just us being mechanics and measuring things, measuring, the diameter, and then from there, measuring out the length and not waiting on somebody else to fix our problem when we can fix it ourselves.
I mean, yeah, I equate that to like brake lines on a car. Sure, it's way easier to get an assembly to go fit up a brake line, but give me a roll of brake tubing and I'm just go make it myself in an eighth of the time, right? So like just do a little bit of extra work and you'll be able to service that customer way faster than having to wait for a coil of what you can go buy off the shelf right now, a week's in transit and then all that fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no, but I don't disagree. Or to find out that the part that comes in was the wrong one
Oh,
after
it's the
all,
wrong
and
one. Or
yeah,
it's obsoleted. We don't have that anymore, right?
you
Like,
you get a lot of people come in and like, "Oh, yeah, I need the cap tube for the oil return system," and someone who's looking at this from somewhere else, they go, "Oh, this B6-7 way over here," and come to find out that it's not the right length, it's a different length. So what happens when we change the length on the oil return line? Well, it's a metering device, right? And so
right.
now we either meter too much and not enough's getting through, or we meter not enough and a ton gets through and it doesn't balance correctly. So these things are here and they're in different sizes for a reason. And people ask me this all the time too, which is a weird one that I never really thought about. Why are there 2 different lengths when it comes to capillary tubes on VRV3? You want to take a stab at that one? You want to take a guess? You know you want to.
It's I would guess it's the tonnage of the compressor.
Tonnage of the compressor, but also constant speed versus variable speed.
Yeah. So you
The
need,
constant speed means you're going to be at 100% speed,
yeah,
right? It's going to get there to that pressure level that's going to go ahead and separate the oil out efficiently. It's either 100% or not all at all. So for that, there's probably a little bit more metering on that one as opposed to the opposite,
the
right? The
shorter.
vice versa.
So the inverter has the shorter one.
The inverter has the shorter one. You got it, man.
Yeah.
You got it. And so these things matter. So what happens when I go back and I put the same size cap tube on both sides? Well, it's not going to meter correctly. Lord forbid you start dumping a little bit of hot gas down that line back over to the suction line. I would be curious about that. If you did size it in half, would it turn that hot gas down into a little bit of a liquid and then dump it right in the suction line? I'm curious. Probably not, but
I mean, probably
we will
not enough to like actually make
flood
a
it.
difference.
Yeah, it's like a drop in an ocean, right?
So you got to assume that the engineers on this have factored in a little bit of dumb factor to like if somebody cut off half of it, then it'd probably still work fine.
Yes. Yeah. So let's go to our favorite unit with thermal events. What unit is that, Donald?
All of them. X series.
REYQ. It logged me out. Might as well.
168.
Let's see. Let's do 120 XAT. No, XAYDA. It's that 460 volt flavor. The spicy voltage.
460. 60. Not 80. Not 90. Not 500. unless you're in Canada. But then if you're at 500 in Canada, you're low already.
So we'll talk about that here in a second. That's actually something I want to bring up today too. So here in this unit, there's been a known issue, and the issue is not so much from a manufacturing standpoint, but more so from just a spicy voltage coming into the unit. It doesn't like hot things. The over voltage through the actual noise filter can cause the noise filter to, in the words of the factory, create a thermal event, which we all know as exploding, catching fire, burning, not good things. So what happens when that happens inside the cabinet of a VRV unit? You've got to go back and get wiring harnesses. So you'll find that this is the only series of equipment. Actually, I haven't checked a Mirion yet, where you'll find that there's more tabs than just the 3 that shows the wiring diagram, parts layout, boards layout. You'll actually find there's actually wiring harness layouts and numbers, and associated with that is part numbers. Why is that? Because when we start having thermal events and it started melting cables and wires, you can't just go out and replicate these in the field with the plugs that are there. So they list out every plug that's there and where it goes and how it's supposed to connect on what terminals. This is actually really handy to have when you're going through and replacing an inverter board to ensure that everything is going in the right location to the right place from point A to point B. Here's even thermistor designations and terminals here, where I can click on and order this entire thermistor assembly. So this is the only series of equipment that I found that has all of that because of the spicy voltages. So anything you want to add to that before we talk about spicy voltages?
No. I don't think it's on this one, but just kind of along that point, if you go to like a RZQ or something like that, you can get some extra information that is hard to find. So like go to like an RZQ 24.
RZQ.
Yeah. Go to a TA series, TA or TB.
TABJ.
Let's see if it's still there. Yeah.
Ooh, look at this golden nugget.
Pan diagram, right? So oftentimes these smaller tonnage units are installed in places where it's going to be moist, right? So or damp, we'll say. So like parking garages or basements or attic spaces or plenums,
Over
right? Like
entryways.
right. So we're putting an indoor unit in a condition or an outdoor unit in a condition where it's possible that this thing is going to produce enough condensate that needs to be managed. So on some of these units, and I don't think this is the only version that has it. I think the VRV-S has something similar, but it shows you what you need to do to manage that condensate.
Yep.
In the spare parts bank. Good luck finding this information not in the spare parts bank.
Yes. So this isn't in a service manual. Look, here's the actual part right here. Look at that.
There's
bottom
the
frame,
bottom frame
fixing plate.
Yep.
And
So
here's
it's like
the
a
fixing
condensate pan.
Yep. Here's the bottom frame fixing plate set. So maybe you are out there struggling with something like this right now. And here we go. They've got 54 of them at the factory where it actually comes with everything you need to seal this up. And then guess where you're going to find out the instructions to do this? Not in the service manual, not online, not published anywhere, not Googled. You're only going to find it here in the spare parts bank where they're actually going to show you the 3D diagram of what to tape, where to tape, what to plug off, where to put the plates, how to remove the screws. It's all here. And these are little nuggets that are hidden in the spare parts bank altogether.
Yeah. I mean, this comes up a lot for me being in the San Francisco Bay Area where we don't have super high humidity all the time, but we do have units that are installed in garages all the time. And the garages are cold, dark, damp places. So these units will sweat a whole lot and they'll condensate, right? Heat pump's going to heat pump. And this information is kind of really helpful to show somebody like, hey, here's how you can block up that condensate pan and then feed that to a pump.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's really good. When there's a ton of nuggets in here too. You can easily go back and search certain units, right? So let's see if I go back to let's do REYQ 144 PBTJ. Oldie but a goldie. And this one here, if I'm not mistaken, there should be a repair info. Here we go. So A1P
Yeah.
board. So this is a good one too. So this is the A1P board in an RAYQ 144 PBTJ. You'll notice here there's a little icon I click on, and this is actually repair info. Well, what do you mean repair info? This is actually the sheet that comes with the board when you replace it. It talks about part numbers. It talks about all the juicy little tidbits that you need to know about setting dip switches for the boards, right? All of this stuff has been tucked away in the spare parts bank where everybody has been looking for this forever, where it lists out every model that you have and the dip switch selections for those models, when they were published, where they come from. Like all of this has been here since the beginning of time. You just didn't know where it was, and no one talks about where it's at. Heck, I could probably swear that maybe 50% of the factory guys don't even know where this is at. But it's here, right? It's a link. So there is an actual space to find repair info as a whole. Yeah. All right. YQ 120 PB, you said? Okay. You want TJ or okay. I mean, I'm partial to 208, but okay. What else? Oh, look, there's a repair diagram for sound insulators. We'll click on that next. Um, Hold on. Let me find the. Nope, that's not it. E8. There we go. Okay. I I okay. And so you'll find that some of these are only tucked away in specific models where it's like you got to know somebody who know. Oh yeah, this is probably it. Here we go. Printed circuit inverter. Yep, there you go. Ooh, look at those dip switches. No, I know, but yep, yep. And so all the yeah, and so and where? Yep, and they're even showing you where to add the cores, where to zip tie, where to strap the wires, in what section, what got replaced, where the new plugs are supposed to go. I'd say probably the most common failure point of changing out this inverter board and the noise and not noise filter, this inverter board and the fan driver board is that everybody always puts, and we saw this in the group the other day. Everybody always puts the what is it, the N and the P1 wires in the same spot, right? On the board, yeah, on the board, they're in two different spaces, about 2 inches away from each other, and everybody puts them on the same terminal. And guess what? When you light that board up with some power, guess what happens? She smokes. And so here's the English portion, a little bit way down where it talks about where to put it, what boards you need, where you need to zip tie it, and what details, and what list of information to go down and change in what order. And all this stuff is here, guys. Like, and I get like you're like, well, wait a minute, like, how did I not know about any of this stuff? And that's what the podcast is here for. We're here to talk about things that we've learned along the way that was very painful. You're like, well, this should just come with the board. Maybe it does come with the board. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the one that you have doesn't come with it, but it's here either way. It exists now, and there's a nice little diagram and breakdown. It's funny because looking at this reminds me of the service manual in the UK market. Their service manual looks just like this. It's beautiful, like it's all like 3D illustrations and like diagrams and to remove things. Now, I'll admit the Amirion has gotten a lot better with an actual parts replacement guideline, but it's not in 3D. And there's something about 3D parts and where to take screws out and put new boards in and all this other stuff that it just, it helps a lot, especially when you've never done it before. So, okay, we got, yeah. Yep. No, and so let me yep. What's this sheet metal? I don't need this sheet metal. I'll just cut it out. Get this out of here. It's actually these are spare parts. Where's all these? So you'll find too that when you order an inverter board, if they're nice enough to send you the accessory cables that are supposed to come with it, that you is it a part is it okay. It is a separate part number. Maybe I've just always been blessed and they knew what I meant. Um, but you'll find that, you'll find it's that sound isolation for the compressor thing. Um, you'll find that, it comes with cables and harnesses that you don't actually need, right? So remember, like, that inverter board replacement for that particular model is across a couple of different models. So and how do we know that? Let's go in here and watch this. So if we go down and we look at this part number and I copy it, and that's a repair info. So let's go to data search at the top. Not a lot of people do this. Repair information. I'm going to search just this repair information and look at all of these different models and parts that they are associated with, right? Maybe I want to find everything that's listed in this repair info. It's up here at the top. So there's the model search section that everybody uses, but there's actually data search. So let's say you already know a part number. So let me go back. Let's take a step back. Let's go. What is the most common failure component off the top of your head for VRV3 beside the compressor? You're gonna say that. You do the inverter? Oh, what am I doing here? REMQ 120 PVTJ. I was gonna say expansion valve, but you've got really good points. So many good failure points. Let me just do the expansion valve because that's usually the most common one, right? That you could have difficult finding. Oh, look, there's a repair info guideline. Is this? I bet you this is the one that talks about turning it a quarter some which way for the indoor unit, or is it just a bunch of numbers and parts? Oh no, there it is. Expansion valves in Japanese. Something you didn't know that you needed, and now you know. Look at all of these different models. Goodness. What is this, like 170? Oh, no, it is 146 pages. Gonna go ahead and summarize it for you. It's just a bunch of models. There's that here it is. Okay, this is the part that I was trying to get to. 1, they want you to zip tie the wire harness on the expansion valve, but also 2, here's that guideline that nobody has ever found ever again, where it talks about when you install it to do a 0 to 30-degree turn rotation in regards to the location of the fan coil. So yes, the orientation of which way your expansion valve is facing in the unit actually does matter. Anyways, I don't know why I wanted to show that, but I just little tangent there. All right, part number. Stay focused. Okay. And then I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go data search and I'm going to go part number. Okay. And find. And it'll find the part number here, but I could also, let's say if I want to go to this part number here, show substituted parts. And look at all these model numbers. See all these model numbers? This expansion valve goes in what? How many units here? Like this is probably close to 100 across all markets. Remember, this database isn't just for North America. This is for Australia. This is for literally any piece of equipment made by Daikin, all the way down here to the bottom. I mean, there's model numbers you probably never seen before. RRXY P450P8. Like, I don't even know what that is. But that's all here. So if I want to click that, and I want to go in here and I want to go, okay, select substitute. And I click on that. There's 776 available. And here's what it looks like. And it's probably the same as substitute part for everybody. But here's the thing, there's a bunch of different ways to use this. There's the drawing numbers listed, there's the specification, and you can go in here and you can find applicable model numbers, right? Find applicable models. And it'll tell you, if we go in here and we search this way, right? So I go one tab over to find applicable models and I look through all these and I say, okay, look, I've got 152 pages of indoor units that this is used in. Let me look at this one right here. Maybe this is my unit. Okay. Nope, definitely not my unit. No idea what this is. But yeah, but that's the point, right? That this is here for a reason and it's a resource. And if you're not using it, you should start using it. This is all the great stuff, even document search to controller search to you name it. I mean, there's just so many places in here that have not been explored. The document search will go through on the Daikin Business Portal, where you can actually look up different service manuals and stuff like that. Controller search, go to the mobile website. I have the mobile website on my phone. So many good things to be had to see. So, anything else you want to add to that, Donald, besides all the things we just covered? Okay. Well, so Donald wanted to show you what the spare parts bank looks like in the Tech Hub app. I usually just go to the browser. So what is that? It's a very, 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 very long name, but I can see GS, what is it? GSDB dot DS dash, yeah, it dot JP. Dot JP just means a Japanese website. So save yourself from doing all of that and trying to log in and just go to the Daikin's website, go to the resource section, click on parts, and then either log in from there or create it. And it's actually pretty mobile friendly. So don't be afraid to use this on your phone when you're out in the field. Again, this and for me, it's a lot of like confirming parts, right? So if my customer client wants to know when I can get this, well, let me see how many are in stock at the factory. It says 0. We might have some hard times getting it, but there might be a substituted part number that I haven't found yet that goes to that where, it's just not listed correctly on their website or it's not categorized correctly on their website for what I'm looking for. So there's a lot of great ways to do that, and also and these are all the factories, right? So if you go to PL made by, you've got all these different ones. DIL, that is Japan. DENV, I don't know the acronyms for them, but that is UK. Let me see here. What is Daikin North America's? Is it I don't even remember, to be honest. Is it DTAS? Interest No, these are the factory designations, right? EIL is Japan. Yep. Singapore. Yeah, I don't it might be. Someone's gonna correct us. Someone knows. DIS, DAS. Ooh, you know what I could do? I could just go the problem I have with this, Donald, is that I start poking around in here in places that I probably and I'm like, "Man, why don't we have this in our market? This thing is so cool. Like, why can't I order this?" And I'll be like, "Hey, can we get this?" And they're like, What are you doing looking at Australia parts?" And it's like, "Why do they have this? I want this. This is really nice." Oh my gosh. Don't get me started. I was in the you saw the it's like a year ago where I got in the Japanese website, I changed my IP to Japan, and I went to Daikin's website, and I went through looking through all their units and their yeah, Google Translate is a heck of an app. I'll just say that. Live translate on the actual screen. And, man, the stuff that they have, I think they had a four-way cassette, that actually, was took smells away from the space. Like, it smelled the smells, and then it activated, like, all the streamer technology that they have over there where it would, like, filter out the smells on their unit. Um, well, then you look at, like, Daikin UK, man. They got freaking VRV CO2 now. I'm so jealous. They're what's that? They might what's the model number for that one? But with that, it's like, it just yeah, they have the what is it? The Sharudo technology, which came out like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Someone's gonna correct me. Where it's isolation valves at the indoor unit, BS box in the outdoor unit. The outdoor unit will actually pump itself down if it senses a leak for R32 in the space. And they coined it Sharudo technology. Now I could look up the term Sharudo and what it actually means, but it was this whole philosophical approach to it. But I was like, man, and then so the reason you remember if I tell you what exactly it looked like. It was a bunch of superheroes. Do you remember that when I shared that? It was a bunch of Daikin superheroes and capes and stuff like that. That's how they were marketing it to save the day. Um, I wonder if we're gonna get anything like that. We don't ever get anything fun. We always get like the really like old leftovers where it's like, here you go. Here's a baked potato from the back of the fridge from like 2 months ago. Oh man. You got it? You got it working? All right. All right. Oh, hijack it. Oh, look at that beach picture. The beach. Mm, love it. Well, and from that, like, you could see how easy is it to zoom in and stuff? Yeah, yeah. Oh, I got CO2. Yeah, ready to check out. Do you have a coupon code for our viewers? Uh, too much. 40% off right now. Act now. Callers are standing by. Which is okay because you know who to contact and you know who you buy your parts through already, so don't try to reinvent the wheel. Yes, which is what we're all about, making that life easier. Swing compressor. Nice. Love it. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Very cool. Very, very cool. Alright, I'm gonna hijack this again and show you CO2, just because I found the presentation that I was sent on how to service it. There we go. So the, model number that I used is a RXYN, uh, 10AY1. Not that anybody's gonna remember that. But we've got expansion valves, we've got, um, entire assemblies here. Goodness. P9. Where's P9 at? Oh, accumulator. Yeah, look at that big chunky boy. So it's got bolt-on cylinder heads. 2 2, 2 swing compressors. Look at those little swingy swingers. What do we got here? Terminals on top, terminal covers, base plates that they actually sit in. Look at all these covers, crankcase heaters for both. Yep. Service valve connections. We got a lot of different service valve connections. Stop valve, gas stop valve, another gas stop valve. How many gas stop valves do you need? Stop liquid. Just a lot of different stuff here. Base plate, mounting plates. Oh no. Double clicked it. Here we go. Okay. What is this? Refrigerant filter? Goodness. Oh, look at that. There's a dryer. There's there's a dryer. Oh, they don't have pictures or quantities up yet, but there is a repair information. We're not selling it yet, but we've got repair information for you, folks. That's I don't know. It looked like it says dryer, right? So it says dryer. So we're gonna say, "How dare you break a stigma like that?" Yeah, propeller fans, four-way valves, heat exchanger assembly. Look at that whole mess. It's freaking yeah. Yeah, when it's put on a rack like this, right? It's in the VRV3 casing. So this oh gosh dang it, keep doing that. Um, Sits on like a looks like a dual chassis cabinet, and then there's the, air-cooled section next to it. Yeah, see, inverters, A1P, which I wonder what they're using for that one. Might be the same. Uh, well, so there was 2, there was the DNV and then there was the Japanese DIL one, and since the DNV one just came out oh, of course, they always have nicer looking presentations, look at that. There's the side chassis. Mhm. Look at that. Don't you how why is DNV so much nicer? Like, they just put everybody to shame with their layouts. Look at this. Got the party hats, got the expansion valve, right? And then you've got the actual right, yeah, 2 platey plates. Look at all these filters, goodness. This one, that one, this one, that one. Good night. CO2 ain't messing around, boy. It is not messing around at all. Let's see here, waterproof. Yeah, the pressure sensor. So they put caps on everything. Look at that. That's nice. Little rotaries, little swing compressors. Look at that refrigerant oil separator. Goodness. She's big. This must be the, transcritical, compressor. So you've got yeah, this one's on the right, the way that they stage it. Inverter cabinets, A1P, another A1P. Oh, look at this. Oh, no, it's compressor oil. 1 liter of compressor oil in case you need it. Accessory set. Order now while supplies last. Uh, Safety valve and then changeover cover. Oh, I think it actually does. Details. There you go. PZ-D, which tells you so much. Mm-mm. Here's that compressor covers, crankcase heaters, packaging material. What in the heck? Thermistor mounting spring. Yeah. Let's see if they've actually look at that. They even got a picture for it. Goodness. But oh, dang it. Hold on. Gosh dang it. I'm over here sharing all the secrets. You can't even see the details. They do. They do. And they always get like stuck at like the worst time. And then you're like, oh, when was this? Yeah. They've got 0. So North America's got 0. Dang it. I need to change continents. But yeah, so there's a look at CO2, a little sneak peek in the database here. You guys weren't expecting this, but here it is. This is what the VRV CO2 unit looks like on the parts database, broken down. They've already got it all listed and what it looks like. Look at all these fun components. And that accumulator is going to be a lot of fun to change, as you can see. Might double as a grill later for those units that you change out. Turn into like a little cooker, smoker. But yeah, so all right, I know we're already at an hour and 4 minutes. Is there any final thoughts or notes? We didn't mean to take up our entire time talking about spare parts database, but there's just so much good information in here that's going to level up your game as a VRV, VRF service technician. I say VRF, right? Like this applies to any other brand besides Daikin, but There are other manufacturers out there, LG, Samsung, Mitsubishi, that have similar layouts like this, right? Mitsubishi actually has repair manuals that you can go in that look like this. Theirs isn't a spare parts database. It's actually the repair manuals themselves, but most every manufacturer should have something like this that you should be referencing when you're trying to replace parts and components for the equipment to ensure that you have the latest and greatest and it's accurate. So, all right, take it home, Donald. You gonna sing us a song or? Yeah, yeah. So we're going to be going to Cool Automation's Cool Masters events, and we're going to try to do something live there. We've got no idea what we're doing, but we're gonna do it regardless. The idea is to go live, or at least get a bunch of recordings of some great people that are going to be there at the show. At the training events, live event, whatever you want to call it. Cool Automation has been a gracious host in actually giving us a space to talk to some other industry professionals where we're hoping to just yeah, talk more with people out there who are listening to something like this to bring that knowledge together. We're here to bridge the skill gap on what the information is and those who safeguard it to get it out there for everybody to have. Right? We understand that it's difficult to do this by yourself, and so together we're stronger. Which is the whole point of this podcast, is to get that information out there so you guys can actually be extremely dangerous with this equipment and fix problems in the real world without having to rely on the factory or somebody to get back to you about information. We want this to be kind of like that beacon of hope or that guiding light to help you guys be successful in the field and conquer this equipment, regardless of who makes it or on what part of the earth it's on. This information should make you pretty dangerous. So yeah, we're excited, super excited. So yes, yeah, I've got my cloud box right here that I've got to put on my house. Yeah, see, twins. Yeah, I haven't put it on yet, but yeah. And so let me say this. So we're not sponsored by anybody, right? So Donald is here on his own free will and volition. I'm here on my own free will and volition. We don't get paid by anybody to do this. We do this because we feel like it's the right thing to do. We feel like there's no reason to safeguard this information if it helps one person or another. The EEV magnets. Hey, show. Do you have the new? Do you have the new style on there? Show us. Show us. Come on. Let's see. Maybe you need better lighting. I want to. We would like to see you in 4K on the next episode. So that'll be my laptop. Okay. Anyway, so we changed the top of the magnets. Now they say yeah, yep. So yes, yeah. So again, we're not sponsored by Cool Automation. We think it's a really cool product. We've worked with the Hero. We helped in some of their trial sessions to help develop the product. They didn't do all the things we were hoping they would do, but that's okay. There's a lot of other products out there in our market when it comes to BrainBox AI, what used to be Riptide and Turntide. And so we're just trying to give you the latest and greatest information of the things that we like for people who actually have to service this equipment. Again, we're not paid by anybody to give you this information or tell you. This is just our opinions founded upon experience out in the field for fixing this equipment and supporting clients. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that my clients are happy and that my repeat failures are extremely low, if non existent. And so we're just telling you what we do, how we do it, and also the products along the way that we found that have been extremely helpful for us to do that for everybody. And we think that Cool Automation is one of those things. So I just want to toss that out there. So, okay. See you guys live at the Cool Automation event. Talk to you soon. Bye.